This is practice exercise lucky number 13. This is finding the mean and median of an array. I'm going to do this one in C sharp. So given an array, ARR, so that's the variable name, ARR, of positive integers, so we can assume that they are positive, so no zeros, no negatives. Find the mean and median value and return the floor of both values. So let's talk about these real fast. So mean is your typical average. You take the sum of the values divided by the count of the values. So that one's pretty straightforward. The median, on the other hand, is a little different. The median value is the middle number. So if there are 5 numbers, it is the value that is in the middle of those 5. If there are 6 numbers, there are 2 numbers in the middle. There's not an exact number in the middle because it's even. So what you're going to do is you're going to take those 2 numbers and you're going to get the mean of those 2 numbers, so the average of those 2 numbers. So that's the idea of the median. So going back to high school math, hopefully that all makes sense. So looking at our examples, example 1, we have the values 1, 2, 19, 28, and 5. These are not in order. So the mean is going to be the sum of these values. So 22, 50, 55, divided by however many there are, which are 5. That means it's 11. So the mean is 11. So we can see the answer there. And then the median is going to be the middle number. Now 5 is out of order. So the actual order is 1, 2, 5, 19, 28. The median being 5. That's the number that's in the middle of that sequence as it's ordered. So that would be the value 5 there. So a little extra difficulty here. You're going to have to, for the median, order those numbers. You're going to have to make sure they're in the right order to find the median value. Floor simply means truncate any decimal value. And since both of those are coming back as whole integers, we don't have to worry about that. Let's look at the next one. So 2, 8, 3, and 4. So let's do the mean first. So it's the average. So 2 plus 8 is 10, plus 3 is 13, plus 4 is 17. 17 divided by 4 is 4 and a quarter. So 4 and some remainder. So taking the floor of that, the mean is going to be 4. So it wants us to take the floor. Again, that's in the instruction. The floor value is just truncating any values that are any decimal values. So 4.25 would be 4. 4.9 would be 4. 4.99999 would be 4. So we're just getting rid of any decimal values after the decimal point. The median, on the other hand, we need to put these in order. So in order, these are 2, 3, 4, and 8. Since it's even, there are 2 middle numbers, 3 and 4. So we need to take the mean of those 2 numbers. So 3 plus 4 is 7, divided by 2 is 3.5. 3.5, if we floor that or truncate that, the value is 3. So the mean is 4 truncated, and then the median, the median is 3 truncated. So that's the idea behind this one. So a little bit of math going on. Let's go ahead and set this up in Visual Studio. So go ahead and open Visual Studio here. We'll get the initial dialog, and then from here, what we want to do is create a new project. And I'm going to do this just as a class library, since we're not really doing anything with user interface or anything like that. We can just do this straightforward as a shareable package. That's what I've been doing in most of these exercises. So I'll do a class library. Let's call the class library mean and median. And C code delete me is where I'm going to put mine. You can put yours anywhere you would like. I'm going to leave it to the default latest version, and let's create it. All right. Good, looking good. Now let's add our test project. So we'll add new project. And I haven't used XUnit in a while. It's in the bottom of my list. So I'll go ahead and do this one as XUnit. We'll call this acceptance tests. Latest version. All right, there we go. So now that we've got this, let's say this is mean and median tests. We'll add a dependency from one to the other. So I need to make sure that the test project knows about the mean and median project. That is a dependency. All right, so now let's say example 1. Let's go ahead and set this up. Perfect, that looks good. All right, so let's head back to median. All right, so let's take this out. So we're gonna need array is these values. So here's our input. So we'll say var array equals. Now in C#, we don't want the brackets after the name. That doesn't make sense. And then we can definitely do the shorthand here, but it needs to know what the type is. So let's turn this into a 32-bit integer array. And now it's able to take the shorthand syntax and evaluate it. So there's our input. Now our output is going to be 11 and 5. So there are a few ways we could do this. I could return this as an array where it's 2 values. I could create a complex object that returns it. I could do this as a string where it'd be 11 space 5 as the string. So I want to show a couple of those how we would do that. So one would be var expected output equals. So here would be the string, right? So it's 11 space 5. And so that would definitely be a way to go. You could also turn this into some object. And so we could create some new class called, what do we say? Mean and median evaluation result. It's kind of a long name, but it's the idea here. And that would be 11 comma 5. So the 11 for the mean, and we could even specify that here in C#, and the median would be 5. So that we could evaluate that and then compare that later on. Typically, this is the way I would go. That way we had a full object-oriented approach to this with good names. We could evaluate those names. It's very descriptive about what we're doing for the next developer. There's no guessing. In this particular case, since we're using the Geeks for Geeks code here, I'm going to actually do this as a string. It's not optimal, but a lot of the things that they're doing, they're trying to keep fairly simple in terms of how they're evaluating things. So I'm going to leave this as a string for you. So basically, you need to not only calculate those, but then format a string and return the string value of that. Just make sure to have this space between those two numbers. So there's those. Now from here, we need to actually sort the array and calculate the mean and the medians. So we're going to create a class. This is going to be something that evaluates numbers, and it's evaluating to see the mean and the median. So it's an average calculator. I like that. So we'll call this an average calculator. So we'll say var calculator equals new average calculator. The mean and the median are both different kinds of averages. Typically, we use the word average to mean the mean. However, average could also be a median. It could be a mode. There are multiple kinds of averages. So it's important to keep in mind. All right, so there's our calculator. So now we'll say var result equals calculator dot evaluate mean and median. Again, I'm going to be very descriptive here. We'll pass in ARR. Assert equal. We want to make sure those two values are the same. These are going to be strings. And I'm going to change this to strings, so it's going to help us out here. I'm going to get rid of the var. The reason I'm going to do that is Visual Studio is going to help us out if I'm more explicit about the types. So there's our first example. Let's go ahead and do example 2 real fast. In example 2, the array is going to be 2, 8, 3, and 4, with the values being 4 space 3. So there's our test. We're looking pretty good. We're all set up and ready to go. Now what we need to do is basically create this class. So I'm going to rename class 1. Let's call it average calculator. And now I can do an import. So I'll control period using mean and median. Now it's able to find it. We're also going to need this method. So I'm going to control period here and generate the method. Let's F12 to get to definition. Excellent. I'm going to clean this up. Let's turn that into a namespace directive. Methods. All right. Now let's just return null for a moment. And let's see if we can at least get this to run and give you 2 failing tests on the assertion. Yes, excellent. So we're now getting to the assertion, and it's saying 4 space 3 is not null, and 11 space 5, it should not equal null. So we are at the point where our tests are running. We are getting to the assertion. That's excellent. You're now ready to make this pass. So you're going to go into this average calculator class. You need to take this array, calculate 2 different values. You're going to calculate the mean. You're also going to calculate the median, probably put those in 2 different variables. You're going to need to take the floor of both of those, just as a hint. That's on math, the math class, math.floor. That will give you the floor value. You'll probably need to cast that from decimal or double into an int value. So we'll do the floor. Then once you're done with that, you'll need to concatenate those as a string. So quite a bit going on in this method. I think you're up for the challenge. Good luck on it.